Hello. Almost done. Fine. All right. So I'm pretty sure everyone here has kind of experienced the tip of the tongue sensation, right? Like there's a word or a name right on the tip of your tongue. And the more and more you think about it, the farther and farther it kind of drifts to the back of your head, right? And you can't quite spit it out. And eventually you just kind of give up. And you go along with your day, just kind of walking around, and it just kind of pops in your head, right? I mean, most of us are familiar with that. And what this is called is presque-vu. And it translates from French to almost seen. And basically, it's partial recall. So the memory strength is there to initiate the state, right? To kind of have that word in your head, but not quite there. But it's not strong enough to complete the task of reciting the word. But I'm not here to talk about the mental state or any kind of like medical thing. I'm not smart enough for that. Trust me. I was reading a book the other day by Deepak Chopra, and he kind of talked about this and related it to some sort of like metaphysical cycle, and it was really cool. But from that, I kind of got that we can apply this to our everyday life, and even broader application. And what that means to me, and I think what that can mean for us, is the importance of process, right? Just like the word, right? We all have goals, and let's say the goal's here, or the word's here, right? And sometimes we're so focused on the word being here, or the goal being here, that we kind of forget to travel that distance, take the steps necessary to actually get there, right? And we find ourselves kind of caught, unable to get there, unable to. And it's just the process, right? You need to focus on taking the first step, and then the second, and then the third to get to where you want to be. It's kind of like playing hide and seek, but keeping your eyes closed the whole time. Like you're worried about how you're going to find the person. You got to look, right? Like we seek that instant gratification so badly. Sometimes we forget about that. Sometimes we got to go out and do it, right? It's hide and seek, not hide and find. My bad. So I grew up right down the road, right off Germantown Road. Lived in the same neighborhood pretty much my whole life. And my childhood to me was pretty normal. I grew up with kids that were about 3 to 5 years older than me. They were great kids. Like I looked up to these guys. Like they were my role models. They were superheroes. I mean, they were great. We used to play football in the backyard. I always wanted to be like them. They were so good. And yeah, my childhood was normal to me until I got to middle school. When I got to middle school, I went to a school kind of farther away from where I live. It was like some special placement thing. And I gained a new perspective on my life. Like, the kids that went to my middle school weren't from where I was from. They didn't grow up the way I grew up. They didn't live the way that I lived, right? Like, I'm not from the hood. Like, don't get it twisted. Fairfax City, like, it's Northern Virginia. But, like, the gap was there. And I started to realize, like, I had perspective now in my life. Like, I started to realize, like, the way I grew up wasn't normal. Like, I mean, my childhood was a little bit messed up, right? Not really my home life. Like, my mom's right there, greatest woman I ever know. My dad's working. I mean, they're amazing people, right? But the things that happened around me weren't normal. About half the kids I grew up with dropped out of high school. Most of the kids I grew up with were arrested by the time they turned 18. Of the few kids that made it through high school, one of the kids is dead, right? Like, single-parent households, abusive parents, like drugs, all that. And so I started to realize that in middle school. Also, when I got to middle school, I started to develop a focused goal of playing college football. When you're younger, you kind of have every goal, right? Like, I kind of had that goal when I was little, but like I had every goal. Like when I was little, wanted to play for the Yankees, the Lakers, wanted to play for the Cowboys, be a Cowboy, and also an astronaut all at the same time, right? But when I got to middle school, I started to focus my energy, and I said, I really want to play college football. And those two things, they kind of paired this new perspective on life and this newfound focused goal, right? And I started to realize like how far away I was from where I wanted to be. Like these kids that I looked up to, right? They couldn't even make it out of high school. Like how the hell am I supposed to get to college, right? Like for me and the kids around me, in my head, like graduating high school without seeing the inside of a cop car would have been an accomplishment. It still is. Like, I'm proud of the fact that I've never been arrested. Mom's proud too. But yeah, I mean, and I was so worried about the distance that I had to cover and the things that I had to overcome and the shortcomings of the people around me that I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. But it's hide and seek, not hide and find. The first opportunity I really had to kind of take that first step, I absolutely fell like flat on my face. It was my freshman year in high school. We were playing Liberty Christian Academy. Starting quarterback, I was feeling good. Go out there, 3 turnovers in the first half, get benched, right? I mean, it was terrible, absolutely embarrassing. And after that game, my friend told me that his dad said about me, if you suck, you suck. That really hurt my feelings. I was like, I don't suck. Like, I'm all right. I kind of did suck, but, and like that kind of like reaffirmed everything that I thought. Like, these kids that I looked up to were so much better than me. They couldn't do it. There's no way that I can do it, right? But I started thinking about it more and more, and I started to realize, like, this guy was right. If you're not where you want to be at this moment right now, no amount of wishing or willing or wanting or worrying is going to get you any closer to where you want to be, right? If you suck, that's not a death sentence for your dreams. That's not a you shall not pass, right? If you're not where you want to be today, that doesn't mean you can't be great tomorrow. If you're not where you want to be, that doesn't mean anything other than you have work to do, right? It's not hide and find. So that was like a turning point for me. I started to stop worrying so much about how far I had to go, and I started to commit myself to the concept of every day. I started to focus on what I could do today. I started to stop worrying about the distance to cover and rather taking the first step, and then the second, and then the third, and see how far I can get right now, right? And that was big for me. And for me, personally, with my goal, that was waking up 5 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning before class, right? I would lift weights or go run or throw. Like, in the gym, no one ever wanted to get up with me for, like, they're like, we're sleeping. It's still nighttime. But we had, like, this, like, PVC pipe thing and, like, net, and I would sit there for hours on end before class and, like, throw into that. And that was my process, right? And I'm still doing that. And it's not easy, but it's simple. Right? It's not easy, but it's simple. And that's for everything. Whatever your goal is, it's not going to be easy, but it's simple. You have to switch your focus from the distance that you have to cover and just taking the first step, right? Focus on what you can do right now in this moment. Fall in love with the process and commit yourself to the concept of every day, and you can do anything. I started to do this, right? I really fell in love with the process, and things started to work out. Just this summer, Howard offered me a full scholarship to play football, right? One of the most prestigious HBCUs in the country, right? I cried right in front of the coach. No cool points. Like, probably wanted to take the offer back right then. A couple weeks ago, got an offer from Army to play football. Didn't cry right in front of the coach because he called me on the phone. I cried on the phone. But and if I act right, God willing, I'll have an opportunity to go to some Ivies and play football there, and that's big. Like, I'm so proud of myself, because it took a lot. But I just focused on the process. I fell in love with the process, right? Focused on taking the first step, and then the second, and then the third. I'm not where I want to be, right? I got a long way to go to get there. But I understand now that it's the process, not the goal, that's the real achievement. It's the journey, not the destination, that makes the trip. It's the seeking, not the finding, that makes this game worth playing. Thank you.